Chapter 42-48. You're really shameless. You wanted to fight a group battle because you had the advantage in numbers. Now that you have nothing to do, you want to fight one-on-one? Who do you think you are? Lin Xian sneered. The others also discussed spiritedly. This Wan Jianyi is really too despicable. Yeah, I used to think that he was a proud swordsman. I didn't expect him to be so sinister. Hearing this, the people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion had ugly expressions, but they didn't say anything. Because Wan Jianyi's current action was the wisest. Wan Jianyi also snorted coldly. He didn't care about anything, whether it was despicable or shameless, as long as he could win. So he said, "How do I know you don't dare to? Trying to goad me?" Lin Xian laughed. "Very good, I'll fall for that. I'll fulfill your wish." Lin Xian walked out, causing countless people to be stunned. This sword maniac's brain must be damaged. He actually wants to fight one-on-one at this time. He's too arrogant. Even Lu Yuan and Yu Ruo were stunned. However, when they saw Lin Xian's confident smile, they didn't say anything. Lin Xian walked out. He looked at Lu Xuanxin. "I'll let you see how the top swordsman of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion is defeated by me. At that time, I hope you'll submit to me. Damn it, don't be arrogant. Senior brother Wan will definitely not lose." Lu Xuanxin gritted his teeth. Lin Xian smiled. "Oh, is that so? Since you're so confident, do you dare to make a bet with me? If I lose, I'll let you do whatever you want. But if he loses, you'll submit to me." As soon as these words came out, the people watching the battle outside were stunned. This sword maniac didn't seem to be joking. Could it be that he's serious? What kind of joke is this? He's too arrogant. If it was a sacred king who did this, everyone would naturally be willing. But a young man, and a small saint at that, seemed to be joking no matter how they looked at it. Yu Ruo was also stunned. Black and white light bloomed in her eyes, enveloping Lu Xuanxin. At the next moment, she revealed a look of surprise. Could it be that he has the body of a sword spirit? The body of a sword spirit? Lu Yuan was also stunned. Many people were in an uproar. It can't be, it's a very terrifying body constitution in the starry sky. Who would have thought that the 10,000 Swords Pavilion would find it? The people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion did not say a word. They were gritting their teeth so hard that they were about to break. Damn it, not only did he get slapped in the face, his secret was also exposed. Lu Xian was indeed a sword spirit in her heart, which was also a rare physique. Moreover, his achievements in the sword Dao were extremely terrifying. His future achievements would definitely be above that of a Saint King, so he was worth nurturing. Originally, they had planned to keep this a secret. After all, if the secret was leaked, they would definitely be targeted by the other holy cities. However, he didn't expect Yu Ruo to see through it. "Junior sister, don't worry. This brat is definitely not my match." Wan Jianyi walked out and said, "Kid, do you dare to swear on your Dao heart? Let's fight one-on-one. No one is allowed to help us." Why wouldn't he dare? Lin Xian sneered. He had long wanted to have a battle of swordsmanship with his opponent. Now was the perfect opportunity. But Lin Xian waved his hand, and a piercingly cold sword qi directly pressed down. Its speed was extremely fast. It was also the sword manipulation technique of the sword dragons. Wan Jianyi snorted and also waved his hand, and a sword qi was also released. The two collided, and the terrifying sword Dao law swept out in all directions. Countless large cracks continued to spread. Lu Xian quickly retreated. On the other side, Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan also retreated to a distance, silently watching the battle. Lin Xian waved his sword qi, and it turned into battle dragons one after another, flying out. There was a terrifying dragon Dao aura on them. These sword qi could easily pierce through everything. Feeling the danger, Wan Jianyi's face darkened, and he sneered. "Do you know? The sword in my hand is called the dragon-slaying sword, and it is just right to counter you." The power of the sword burst out, and all the sword shadows were all blown away. A terrifying light rushed towards Lin Xian's throat. The dragon-slaying sword was Wan Jianyi's weapon, and it was a famous sword in the Myriad Sword Pavilion. Legend had it that 8,000 years ago, there was a supreme sword saint in the Myriad Sword Pavilion who wielded this sword. He was an expert who killed 9 supreme dragons, and his name shook the universe. Therefore, this sword was named the Dragon-Slaying Sword. Later, it was passed down to Wan Jinni, and when he used it now, it was also incomparably terrifying. The people of the 3 great dragons also looked gloomy when they saw this scene. Although the dragons that were killed back then were not from their 3 races, they were still dragons after all. The other party used their blood to make a name for himself, so naturally, they were unhappy. Therefore, many people gritted their teeth, hoping that Lin Xian could win. Sword controlling technique, 8 Dragons' Fury. Lin Xian waved his hand, and 8 shadows of swords appeared under his palm. It was abnormally terrifying. The 8 sword chi vibrated non-stop, and an extremely terrifying dragon roar was released, matching with his breathing technique. It was earth-shattering. The sword chi from Wan Jinni's dragon-slaying sword was also shattered. Wan Jinni's pupils shrank, and he could only withdraw his sword to defend himself. He kept retreating, and the surrounding void turned into a black hole. What a terrifying sword! Lu Xuanxin was shocked when she saw this scene. Wan Jinni was forced back, and his face turned ugly. Then he quickly attacked. The 2 of them exchanged blows, and it was like 2 divine swords colliding non-stop. Every strike had the power to destroy the world. Divine sword controlling thunder. Wan Jinni's fury was harmonious, and the sword chi was swung. Above the 9 heavens, dark clouds gathered, and thunder fell one after another. It merged with the sword chi, forming a terrifying and destructive aura. This was a shocking scene, and it was also the top sword technique of the Wan Jinni Pavilion. At this moment, it was being used, and it was attacking Lin Xian. Lin Xian's sword chi was wide open, and he fought against it. He had seen many supernatural powers at Mount Longhu before, and now they were all merged together. The sword chi that was formed was extremely mysterious, and every sword had an unpredictable power. Lin Xian swung 5 sword chi towards the sky in a row, tearing all the thunder apart. At the same time, his body shone brightly, and a sword chi shot out like a divine sword. He immediately charged towards Wan Jinni. With a boom, the defense on Wan Jinni's body was instantly torn apart, and the sword pierced into his body, leaving a sword mark. Battle Dragon Armor. It was the armor formed by Wan Jinni's dragon-slaying sword chi, and it was extremely powerful. Even sacred venerables of the same level couldn't tear it apart, but at this moment he was roaring crazily. The laws of the sword on it kept flowing. His armor also made the sound of glass shattering. His face was full of shock. He couldn't believe it. Lu Xuanxin sucked in a cold breath. Wan Jinni was actually injured. It was too unbelievable. Countless people outside exclaimed, and Wan Jinni roared angrily. Get lost. A terrifying sword intent erupted, and it directly broke Lin Xian's battle sword. Then he used 10,000 swords, and his body shone brightly, healing his wound. With a roar, he streaked across the sky, and with the dragon-slaying sword in his hand, he charged over. Along with it, there were 10,000 thunderbolts. Buzz. Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all, and he shot out flying swords that filled the sky to fight back. The intense collision between the 2 was like fireworks blooming in the sky. Along with it, there were countless sounds of thunder. At this moment, those who came from afar also stopped in their tracks. They even retreated again. There was no way to go forward at all. This battle was really too terrifying. The people of Wan Jinni Pavilion couldn't believe it. It was simply too powerful, but Wan Jinni was even more terrifying. Especially Wan Jinni, who was now a sword saint. How terrifying was his strength! Lin Xian, on the other hand, was only a minor saint. They couldn't believe that they were evenly matched. Buzz. Suddenly, a sword chi tore through everything, and it charged towards Lin Xian's throat. It was an edgeless sword. This sword chi was silent, and it carried a biting cold killing intent. Chapter 42-49. Seeing this strange sword, Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan's hearts tightened. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was expressionless. He was prepared to use all kinds of strange techniques at any time. Therefore, when he saw this scene, he opened his mouth and spat out a sword light. It was a soundless sword. Then he opened and closed and charged forward. Imperial Thunder Sword. 10,000 swords fought against the Thunder Sword. However, after 10 moves, he retreated again. His all-returning swords was almost repelled by the other party. How was this possible? He was shocked that the other party could find his weakness. Lin Xian sneered. He had also cultivated the all-returning swords, so he naturally knew where the weakness was. At this moment he charged forward again. Imperial Sword Technique, Roar of the 8 Dragons. Another terrifying sword sound was heard. At the same time, Lin Xian swung his long sword again. 8 Swords of the Sea Dragon. This was also a peerless sword technique. The sea water between heaven and earth surged, and the sound of dragons could be heard. This sword technique was extremely vast, and it charged over with the power of heaven and earth. Wang Jianyi's all-returning swords was extremely powerful. He blocked the terrifying sword. At the same time, he attacked the 8 Swords of the Sea Dragon. At this moment, his sword technique kept hitting the waves, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea. He couldn't make any waves at all. The 8 sea dragons stirred up heaven and earth, as if the whole world had turned into an ocean. The Waterchild sword technique and the sword law kept surging. The combination of the two completely suppressed the Imperial Thunder Sword. Especially under the dragon's breathing technique, the 8 sea dragons seemed to have come alive. They roared at the sky and their power increased. Every attack was powerful enough to overturn the sea. In the end, all the thunder was completely drowned. Wang Jianyi's expression changed. He quickly retreated and didn't use the Imperial Thunder Sword again. What do you think? You're no match for me. Lin Xian snorted. Lu Xuanxin was completely stunned. She didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. Wang Jianyi's expression was extremely gloomy. He gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, don't be arrogant. I'll show you my ultimate technique." As he spoke, he waved his hand. Countless sword chi flew out again, forming a sword formation that covered heaven and earth. Is senior brother Wang going to use the 8-fold sword formation? Lu Xian was shocked and quickly retreated. Lin Xian also frowned. He also felt that the aura around him had become terrifying once again. It was even more terrifying than the mysterious heaven sword formation. Firstly, the formation that Wang Jinyi was using was called the 8-fold sword formation. It was also a terrifying sword formation. Moreover, Wang Jinyi's strength was above Lu Xuanxin's, so his power was even more terrifying than before. 8-fold sword formation, heaven, earth, water, fire, thunder, mountain, wind, lake. There were 8 different great Daos in 8 different directions. The great Daos formed from each other were extremely terrifying. At this moment, even Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan had a change in expression. The people watching the battle from outside also exclaimed. Wang Jinyi actually knew the 8-fold sword formation. It was too terrifying. This guy's talent in the way of the sword was actually so high. The people from Peerless City furrowed their brows when they heard the commotion. "Brat, can you feel the power of my sword art? Next will be your death." Wang Jinyi snorted and waved his hand. The 8-fold sword formation danced quickly. The sky churned, and countless sword lights descended as if the sky was hanging down. This was the sword of heaven. Its strength was extremely terrifying. If one was hit by it, they would definitely be crushed into a bloody mist. Lin Xian snorted and used his sword art to resist it. At the same time, the ground cracked open. The sword of earth rushed out and combined with heaven and earth, completely sealing Lin Xian. Lin Xian was forced back, and his qi and blood were in turmoil. Wang Jinyi laughed when he saw this. "Brat, do you see this? This is the difference between us. You're not even a saint venerable. What do you have to fight me?" Lin Xian's eyes lit up. 8-fold sword formation? That was interesting. It seems that you're a little more powerful than I thought. But so what? Lin Xian's eyes burst out with a cold sword light. "Then I'll let you see my sword art." As he spoke, the 5 laws of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth appeared on his body. They surged rapidly. The 5 elements sword formation. 5 types of great Dao sword chi surged around him. Each of them was extremely sharp, and they combined with each other endlessly. Sword of fire. Lin Xian struck out with his sword. Monstrous flames flew out and engulfed the 9 heavens. It collided with the other party's sword of heaven. At the same time, he stomped his foot. Endless water laws also surged and formed a sword of water, which turned into a boundless sea to fight against the other party's sword of earth. The two collided, and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. This was a confrontation of different great das. At the same time, it was also a collision of different sword formations. The power of the explosion made everyone dumbfounded. Those who were watching the battle outside exclaimed again. They originally thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure, but they didn't expect that Lin Xian also had a formation. He actually mastered the 5 elements laws, and the 5 elements were combined. Some people frowned. This sword maniac was actually so difficult to deal with. Wang Jian's face was also cold. 5 elements combined. Why did he feel that it was so familiar? If he remembered correctly, there was a detestable brat before who knew the 5 elements. He didn't expect to see a similar law today. This guy, could it be that brat? A doubt arose in his heart. But soon he shook his head and denied it. Impossible, that detestable brat had already been attacked by a sage king. He would definitely die. There was no way he could survive. The sky shook and the earth shook, and the sound of an intense collision rang out. Lin Xian blocked the other party's attack. Then he said, "Your sword formation isn't that good either. It's my turn now. Sword of water, see." As his voice fell, endless water swords surged, turning into a monstrous sea that swept across the sky. At this moment, the boundless land was completely covered by the sea. It turned into an ocean. It emitted a terrifying power that seemed to be able to swallow everything. Even those who were extremely far away changed their expressions. It was too terrifying. Who exactly was the one who attacked? Their eyes turned red as they looked into the distance. The sea surged, drawing out many whirlpools that swallowed Wang Jian. It wanted to seal Wang Jian. Wang Jian snorted coldly, causing the earth to split open and crazily absorb the seawater. The two were in a stalemate again. At the same time, he sneered, "Do you think I don't have water?" The 8-fold sword formation also contained the law of water. At this moment his law of water also surged out, clashing with Lin Xian's water swords. At the same time, the law of fire also surged out. The 4 laws of heaven, earth, water, and fire all appeared together. It suppressed Lin Xian's 5-element sword formation. Lin Xian used the law of earth and the law of gold to block it. The sword chi of the 2 laws clashed again. At the same time, the law of wood covered the sky and covered the earth. The 5 elements combined and suppressed the other party again. Wang Jian's face was cold. He roared angrily, and between heaven and earth, tens of thousands of thunderbolts exploded. The terrifying power swept across everything, and the law of wood was directly restrained. "Brat, it's useless. Your wood sword chi can't block my thunder sword at all." As expected, the laws formed by the wood sword chi were continuously shattered. Your 5-element sword formation only has 5 types of laws, while my 8-fold sword formation has 8 types of laws. What do you have to fight with me? Wang Jian roared. Another terrifying storm blew, and the 6th law appeared, completely suppressing the 5-element sword formation. Chapter 4250. A terrifying storm tore through the surroundings, causing the sky to crumble and the earth to crack. Everyone was shocked. The 8-fold sword formation was too powerful. It was Wang Jian's most terrifying technique. At this moment, Wang Jian's sword technique and laws were all integrated into the formation. This sword maniac was going to lose this time. Yes, he should be proud to be able to contend with Wang Jian for such a long time. He was still a small saint now. If he grew into a saint venerable, he might be able to defeat Wang Jian. Discussions sounded one after another. Of course, there were also people who sneered. Do you think he can still leave alive? Today is the day he dies. Lin Xian was indeed suppressed, but he was not afraid. He also laughed. Do you think you're the only one who has wind and thunder? Unfortunately, I also have 2 types of laws. As expected, the laws of wind and thunder erupted beside him at the same time. Once again, he blocked the 6 laws of the other party. At this moment, the 2 sword chis collided once again. The boundless power caused the void to crumble continuously, causing many large cracks to appear. The entire world began to shake violently. Retreat quickly. Lu Xuanxin, Yu Ruo, and the others also quickly retreated. Useless brat, my 6 types of laws are independent of each other. The power of the 8-fold sword formation is endless, and you only have the 5 elemental laws. The laws of wind and thunder can't be integrated into your sword technique at all. Wang Jini sneered. He unleashed his power again, wanting to turn the whole world upside down. That power emitted a desolate aura. Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan were also a little worried because Wang Jini was right. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Who told you that I'm still in the 5 elemental sword formation? My current formation is called the 7 slaughter sword formation. Feel the power of my sword technique. Lin Xian let out a roar as the 7 types of laws surged incessantly, erupting with boundless might. Heaven and earth were split open, and there was a powerful force that seemed to have crossed time and space. At this moment, the 7 laws were connected, and each of them had an extremely strong killing power. It was as dazzling as a divine sword. No way, this kid's formation is even stronger. Everyone exclaimed. Wang Jini was also pushed back and spat out a mouthful of blood. He gritted his teeth and roared. So what if it's the 7 slaughter formation? 8-fold sword formation. Rise for me. The last 2 laws also erupted, the law of mountain and the law of lake. Between heaven and earth, tens of thousands of mountains surrounded the land. The ground had turned into a swamp, which was incomparably strange. At this moment, the 8 laws revolved around each other, tearing everything apart and completely enveloping the 7 annihilation sword formation once again. The battle between the 2 was extremely shocking. Lu Xuanxin was extremely nervous. He could not tell how the battle was going. From afar, Lu Yuan asked, "What do you think?" Yu Ruo's eyes were black and white. They bloomed with an extremely strange light. She said with a frown, "Not good. The 8-fold sword formation was really terrifying. The 8 types of laws fused together and actually gave birth to the aura of chaos." What? Lu Yan's expression changed when he heard that. The aura of chaos? How was that possible? Was this Wang Jini able to merge the 8 sword skills to such an extent? It was too unbelievable. Sure enough, the 8 types of laws revolved around each other. A chaotic sword beam was directly activated by the 7-kill sword array and slashed at Lin Xian. With a clang, Lin Xian was sent flying. A sword wound appeared on his body as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Not good. The spectators also exclaimed in surprise. What was that? Some of them were shocked. The people from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion were shocked. They cheered happily. The chaotic sword beam was actually condensed into a chaotic sword beam. That was really unbelievable. They did not expect Wang Jini's strength to be so strong. The spectators were even more shocked when they heard that. That was the aura of the origin of heaven and earth. It was really shocking that this guy could actually create it. The people from Wushuang City looked terrible. Not good, the sword maniac is in danger. Wushuang Sage King also frowned. Little junior brother, how are you going to block it? Lin Xian felt the change in his opponent's sword energy. His eyes also lit up. This aura was not the aura of the 8 types of laws. It was the aura of the fusion of laws. Kid, are you shocked? Let me tell you, this is a chaotic sword beam. You can't block it at all. Next, I'll let you know what despair is. Chaotic sword beam? Lin Xian took a deep breath. It was indeed very powerful. Was his opponent already able to use such sword energy? At the same time, the battle attracted the attention of the experts from all over the world. They were originally scattered, but now they were all gathered together. When they saw the chaotic sword beam, they were all stunned. This Wang Jini was too powerful. Some of the experts from Wushuang City frowned. Chao Tianxing's eyes also lit up. On the other side, Gu Feng stood in the void, floating up and down. He was indeed a peerless enemy. He muttered to himself. Qin Xiener, Guan Songhai, and the rest also frowned. It was obvious that Wang Jini's strength was beyond everyone's expectations. Could it be that this guy had a temporary breakthrough and fused the chaotic sword beam? This sword maniac was finished. Discussions were heard all around. None of them believed that Lin Xian would be able to withstand the attack. Brother Xian. Murong Qingqing also came. She was watching from afar. Her heart was also in her mouth. Lin Xian took a deep breath. Chaotic sword energy. It seemed that he could only show his true strength. To be honest, he wanted to hide some of his strength. But Wang Jianyi's strength made it impossible for him to hide. Since that was the case, he would fight it out. But, do you still want to fight me? Wang Jianyi shook his head. You are not my opponent at all. You can't block my chaotic sword beam. Wang Jianyi pushed the eightfold sword formation and charged over. Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan frowned when they saw this. Should they make a move? After all, the other party had temporarily joined their Wushuang city's camp. They would not leave him in the lurch. The two of them took a deep breath and prepared to make a move. However, Lin Xian waved his hand. Around the original 7 laws, another law appeared. A law that was as bright as the sun illuminated the 9 heavens. As soon as it appeared, it lit up the entire sky. Countless people were shocked. This kid actually had a law. The 8th law had appeared. But it was not enough. If it was just 8 laws, it would not be able to block the eightfold sword formation. After all, the other party had fused 8 laws and formed the chaotic sword beam. Sure enough, Wang Jianyi was also stunned. Do you still have a trump card? But you can't do anything to me. He rushed over even faster. Lin Xian, on the other hand, continued to wave his hand. After the 8th law, the 9th law appeared. It was a pitch-black law. As soon as it appeared, everyone felt their bodies shaking and their blood solidifying. It was as if their lives were about to be taken away. The 9th law had appeared. Moreover, it was an extremely terrifying cold law. This guy had actually mastered 9 laws. Everyone was shocked. Who on earth was this sword maniac? Chapter 4251. Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan were also stunned. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian had lost, but now it seemed that was not necessarily the case. Therefore, the two of them did not make a move. Chao Tianxing's eyes lit up. Is he going to fight with all his might? He whispered. Murong Qingqing was also nervous. It seemed that Lin Xian did not intend to hold back. After the solar law and death law appeared, Lin Xian did not stop. Instead, he let the 2 laws fuse. They formed a Tai Chi diagram. What's that? Seeing this scene, many people exclaimed, and some people's pupils shrank. How is that possible? Yin-yang fish. Could it be the law of yin and yang? This guy actually knows a type of origin law. Everyone went crazy. How is that possible? Wang Jianyi also stopped, looking extremely shocked. 5-element sword formation and the law of yin and yang? How is that possible? Could it be that you're that person? You're not dead? He was really too shocked. The more the other party used, the more he felt that the other party was that person. What's going on? Could it be that this sword maniac has some other identity? Some people discussed animatedly. However, some people's expressions became incomparably ugly. They thought of a person who should not exist. Could it be you? You're not dead? Wang Jianyi shouted coldly. Lin Xian sneered and did not answer. Instead, he used the 9 laws to the extreme. 9 tribulations. The 9 laws descended from the sky like 9 heavenly tribulations, attacking the eightfold sword formation. The 2 sides once again engaged in a great battle, and the eightfold sword formation was suppressed. Wang Jianyi was furious and quickly shot out a chaotic sword light. Lin Xian also shot out a yin-yang sword light. The 2 were like 2 divine swords that devoured the sky and split the earth. He blocked it. This kid really blocked it? When the spectators saw it, they could not believe it. That was a chaotic sword chi. Absolutely no one could block it. They did not expect the other party to know the yin-yang sword chi. Exclamations sounded one after another. However, some people's expressions became incomparably ugly. For example, Soaring Sky Sage King, Desolate Sky Sage King, and Silver Corpse Sage King's eyes emitted a shocking light. Sage King Silver Corpse's face was filled with disbelief. How is that possible? Was it that guy? But that guy had already been killed by him. He was still not sure. Damn it. Wang Jianyi was roaring non-stop as well. He had not expected that even after unleashing his chaotic sword light, he would still be unable to do anything to his opponent. Chaos destroyed the heavens. He raised his head and roared. The eightfold sword formation quickly fused together, and the chaotic sword light became even more terrifying. So what if you have the 9 tribulations? I can still kill you. Is that so? Lin Xian unleashed the power of the 9 laws even more terrifyingly, blocking the chaotic sword light. He said at the same time, "Do you think that your eightfold sword formation is really that powerful? Today, I'll break it for you." At this point, another precept rushed out from his body. That was the law of the sword, which was abnormally terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it was accompanied by a loud and clear dragon roar. It was as if a divine dragon had been resurrected. The 10th law had appeared. Countless people were stunned. A single person had actually grasped 10 types of laws. How heaven-defying was that? The addition of the 10 bells law caused the sword formation to change once again. Lin Xian roared in all directions. It was like a peerless sword. Absolute kill of all sides. Boom, boom. The power of the great dragon sword spirit also erupted at this moment. The dragon-shaped sword shadow directly slashed out, colliding with the chaotic sword chi. Clang. The eightfold sword formation finally couldn't hold on anymore, and the chaotic sword light was sent flying. The eightfold sword formation shattered, and Wan Jian's body split open. Impossible, right? Everyone who saw this scene was stunned. The people of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion roared crazily. The eightfold sword formation was defeated. Damn it. At the same time, some people exclaimed, "It was that kid. He didn't die." The third great sage king suddenly stood up, and an extremely terrifying light burst out from his eyes. The people of Peerless City were also stunned. Lin Xian was still alive. And his strength had become so terrifying. What? Lin Xian? Are you talking about that Lin Wudi? Heavens, wasn't he killed by the Yellow Springs Dao diagram of the Silver Corpse Sage King? How could he still be alive? At this moment, everyone went crazy when they heard the news. Legend had it that Lin Xian was hit by the Sage King. A small saint would definitely be killed by the Sage King's attack. But now, he came out alive. What was going on? How could it be? The soaring Sage King frowned, and they looked at the Silver Corpse Sage King. The Silver Corpse Sage King frowned. "I don't know either. I did hit him. Could it be that he still has some trump card?" "It's you? You didn't die?" Countless exclamations could be heard from within the cracked space. For example, the people of the Yellow Springs Palace, the Great Desolate Mansion, and even Gu Feng's pupils shrank. Their faces darkened. Lin Xian looked around and said coldly, "That's right, it's me. I'm still alive." "But you didn't expect it, right?" At the same time, his gaze pierced through the void, as if it could see through everything. "Silver Corpse Sage King, you attacked me without any care. Today, I will make the Yellow Springs Palace pay a painful price. And you, the Demon City and the Great Desolate Mansion, I won't let any of you go." Lin Xian's voice was filled with strong killing intent. Everyone's scalp went numb. Such a genius survived in the hands of a Sage King and returned with a strong momentum. What would happen next? Everyone didn't dare to imagine. At the same time, some of them suddenly understood. No wonder he targeted the Demon City and the other Saint Cities. So this was the reason. Damn it. The people of the Yellow Springs Palace gritted their teeth. The other Saint Cities were also about to vomit blood. On the other hand, the people of Wushuang City were extremely excited. The corner of Wushuang Sage King's mouth curled up into a smile. Finally, he revealed his identity. Since that was the case, there was no need to hold back anymore. Lu Xuanxin was completely stunned. She had always thought that her greatest opponent in the future would be senior brother Wan Jin. But she didn't expect that this godlike senior brother would lose. And lose to a minor saint. Is this the legendary Lin Wudi? She looked ahead, her heart trembling. Lin Xian looked at her and said coldly, "Wan Jianyi has lost. Are you going to submit to me?" Lu Xuanxin's face turned pale. Submit to him? She was unwilling. But the scene in front of her was too shocking. But at this moment, a roar was heard. The broken blood mist turned into Wan Jianyi's figure again. His face was pale. It was obvious that he was severely injured. But he didn't die. His whole body seemed to have merged with the eightfold sword formation. There was also a chaotic aura surrounding him. It's really you. You're still alive. Wan Jianyi roared crazily. Lin Xian was the same. His eyes were filled with cold light. You're still alive? As he said that, he attacked again. The eightfold sword formation attacked crazily. Wan Jianyi kept vomiting blood. Damn it. Stop it. The people of the Wan Jianyi pavilion rushed over, wanting to stop them. But at this moment, Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan also moved. What? You want to fight a group battle? Do you think we're air? Lu Yuan snorted. Thousands of mountains, flying. Thousands of illusions of mountains appeared. Countless light blades began to sprinkle in the void. Thousands of paths, no traces of people. Another terrifying sound was heard. Then, a destructive aura rushed towards the people of the Wan Jianyi pavilion. Those people roared crazily and fought back. Many people vomited blood and were sent flying. Of course, there were also people who rushed out. After all, those who could come here were all experts. Some experts rushed out and attacked Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan. At the same time, there were terrifying figures moving in the distance. Obviously, the Wan Jianyi pavilion was not the only sacred city. The other sacred cities had also made their moves. Chapter 4252. You want to fight? Yu Ruo roared as her black and white eyes turned. A black ink plate and a white light rotated in the sky as terrifying souls rushed out. The surrounding time seemed to have turned black and white as everyone was pulled into a strange soul illusion. They felt a huge impact on their souls. Lone fishing, cold river snow. Lu Yuan formed a seal with her palm and the surrounding ice started to blow. Those who were trapped in the illusion were frozen. They were shattered by countless illusions of mountains. All of a sudden, all sorts of miserable roars were heard. Quick! We can't let the people from the Acheron Hall get here. Countless laws were hammered down. On the other side, the people from the Myriad Demon City also attacked. All sorts of demonic beasts roared in the sky. There were even many people from the Great Desolate Mansion who summoned barren figures. They attacked. A huge battle broke out as many people charged towards Yu Ruo and Lu Yuan. Some of them charged towards Lin Xian as they felt that he was more dangerous and they had to get rid of him quickly. Lu Xuanxin formed the Xiantian sword formation to block them. To be honest, he didn't want to bully Wan Jianyi with numbers. However, if he didn't attack now, Wan Jianyi might be killed. Buzz. The Xiantian sword formation erupted with endless power once again. It cooperated with the eightfold sword formation to resist Lin Xian's 10 ultimate sword formation. However, at this moment, a beautiful figure descended from the sky. Murong Qingqing appeared with the Kunlun 9 slashes and the Xiantian white sword. The two beautiful figures clashed. Lin Xian snorted. Wan Jianyi, do you think you can still escape? The 10 ultimate sword formation erupted, causing Wan Jianyi to vomit blood again as his body cracked. Damn it! Wan Jianyi roared. He knew that he wasn't Lin Xian's match. He couldn't believe it and could only escape quickly. Come quickly! He roared as he wanted to seek help. 5 people from the Myriad Sword Pavilion rushed over. They released their peerless sword techniques and their killing intent sword. Lin Xian roared furiously as he unleashed 10 types of magical laws and attacked madly. With a slash, the 5 people were completely penetrated by the sword qi. Their souls were destroyed. At this moment, someone else attacked. The people of Thousand Demon City and Acheron Hall attacked as well. 8 silhouettes rushed towards him. Lin Xian roared as the great dragon sword spirit completely erupted. Together with the 10 types of laws, they transformed into the 10 absolute sword formation and swept out in all directions. Wherever he passed, no one could stop him. He was too strong. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a peerless god of death. He was simply unstoppable and powerful to the extreme. The spectators outside were all stupefied. What kind of battle prowess was this? Was this brat trying to defy the heavens? Wan Jianyi's body tensed up again. If it wasn't for the eightfold sword formation and the primal chaos sword light, he would have been killed long ago. Even so, his situation was still very dangerous. He could be destroyed by his opponent's sword formation at any time. 2 desolate sabers descended from the sky. The 3 yellow springs diagrams in front of them kept spinning. The 2 greater demons at the back quickly attacked. This was a saint venerable from a different generation making a move. Lin Xian's qi and blood were in turmoil from the attack. Once he revealed his identity, he no longer hid it. The 9 yang divine body shone brightly. The golden light made him look like a golden god of war. He forcefully blocked these forces. At the same time, he activated his sword qi again. Wherever it passed, no one could stop him. In the end, he used the powerful 10 absolute sword formation to break the 8-fold sword formation and pierce through Wan Jianyi's body. Wan Jianyi used the primal chaos sword light to defend, but his body was completely destroyed. The aura of the great dragon sword spirit made it impossible for him to revive. In the end, the primal chaos sword light protected his head. Damn it, save me quickly. Wan Jianyi was really frightened. This was his last hope. If his soul was destroyed, then he really couldn't revive. With a scream, the primal chaos sword light was sent flying again. Everyone went crazy. However, at this moment, a spatial crack appeared in the sky and directly swallowed him. Lin Xian's sword also hit empty air. It pierced through the void, but he realized that he didn't hit the other party's head. Did he escape? Impossible. Lin Xian used the heaven-level god eye. At this moment, he stared at a figure. A hazy figure descended from the sky and stood there, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. Gu Feng. Lin Xian's face darkened. Gu Feng was a genius, an expert of the space element. It was him who used the void great divine ability to move the other party's head away. You want to save him? Ask the sword in my hand if it agrees. Lin Xian's voice was cold. On the other side, many spatial cracks appeared on Gu Feng's body. His body seemed to have completely merged with the world. A terrifying aura spread out. The 2 of them faced each other, while the surrounding people were fighting. Yu Ruo, Lu Yuan, Murong Qingqing, and the surrounding people attacked, forming a terrifying attack. However, there were too many people around them, so they were gradually suppressed. Murong Qingqing snorted and released the light of Kunlun. Immediately, the people of the Kunlun pavilion in the distance quickly came to help. But it was still not enough. This time, the other party had at least 4 saint cities, while they only had 2 great sage cities. Fortunately, Murong Qingqing and the others were all top experts, so they could fight against many of them. That was why they were in a stalemate. The faces of the people of the 4 great sage cities became extremely ugly. They had suffered heavy losses. As for the other party, they were only slightly injured. None of them died, which made them go crazy. Lu Xuanxin also retreated, her face was full of disbelief. The crowd scattered, forming a confrontation. They all looked forward. In front, Lin Xian and Gu Feng were facing each other. The aura on their bodies was getting more and more terrifying. Especially the 10 types of laws on Lin Xian's body, which turned into 10 divine swords, rampaging in all directions. Even the people of the 4 great sage cities felt their scalps go numb. The other party was just a minor saint, but his power was enough to kill them easily. Gu Feng was even more terrifying. The other saint venerables couldn't resist him. But he acted as if nothing had happened to him. More than 10 large cracks appeared around him, tearing the void apart. He swallowed all the terrifying sword qi. It seemed like he had been banished into the void. Lin Xian didn't act rashly because the space technique was extremely terrifying. Moreover, the other party was from the monarch clan, so he must have cultivated the void scripture. It was probably more terrifying than Wan Jianyi's 8-fold sword formation. On the other side, Gu Feng didn't act either. To be honest, although he had an extremely powerful space technique, his power was too strong. But the other party's law was too strong. He could even form the yin-yang image, which really surprised her. Lin Xian. Very good, you didn't die. Looks like we will have a battle in the end. But not now. Next time. Gu Feng's body gradually disappeared into the void. His voice resounded between heaven and earth. Lin Xian said coldly, I'll be waiting for you. When Gu Feng disappeared, the faces of the people of the 4 great sage cities became even uglier. Lu Yuan and the others heaved a sigh of relief. This Gu Feng wasn't simple. He was the king of space. That wasn't something that could be said casually. Yu Rua also nodded solemnly. Her black and white eyes carefully sensed. Chapter 4253. Although Gu Feng had left, the people from the four great sage city were still there, and their eyes were filled with killing intent. They had already sent out a signal, and more experts would come to support them. Sure enough, many figures appeared in the surroundings, and a few of them were abnormally powerful. A demonic ape with a terrifying aura walked out from the myriad demon city's side. With a stomp of its foot, countless large cracks appeared, turning the ground into a canyon. A few terrifying figures also came from the great desolate mansion, and one of them was a middle-aged man who was carrying a bronze coffin. It was really strange. His appearance shocked countless people. In addition, 6 experts from the Acheron Hall came, and 2 of them were abnormally strange. They were a man and a woman. The man was wearing a black robe, and the woman was wearing a white dress. The 2 of them were abnormally mysterious. The cold aura from their bodies made everyone's scalp tingle. The experts from the 3 great sage city arrived one after another, but the morale of the myriad sword pavilion was somewhat low. After all, Wan Jinyi was killed until only his head was left, and he fled in panic. Even if he survived, he would be severely injured. Their confidence was damaged. Lu Xuanxin also left, and the remaining people were also terrified. However, people from the Thunder God City came. One of them was holding the great Tao of Thunder, which was extremely terrifying. They surrounded Lin Xian and the others. Lin Xian's expression was cold, and it seemed that a terrifying battle was about to break out. However, Lu Yuan snorted coldly. Did they really think that there was no one on our side? Buzz. The sound of a guqin could be heard. Then, countless laws were blown down, and a person with a guqin on her back descended. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, and she had a transcendent aura. However, the sound of the guqin was mesmerizing, and they almost vomited blood and died. Everyone was shocked. Another expert had arrived. It was Gao Jianfei, the 4th disciple of King Peerless. The person who came shouted coldly. Boom! The sky fell and the earth cracked. A person who looked like the divine king had arrived. He looked disdainfully in all directions, stepping on the phantom of a divine beast, and his body was surrounded by endless light. He appeared as if he was a king. He said coldly, "I am King Peerless' 7th disciple, Leng Aojuan." Everyone was shocked. It was another 2 powerful geniuses from Peerless City. Although not many people came, their strength was abnormally terrifying. "Just the few of you dare to contend with us?" A woman in a white dress from the Acheron Palace sneered. The man in black armor next to her also snorted coldly, unable to withstand a single blow. "Is that so? Why don't you give it a try and see if it can't withstand a single blow?" Another voice rang out as 2 streaks of light streaked across the sky. "It's Senior Marshal Brother Fu." Lin Xian smiled. That's right, the person who came was Fu Hongya. His body was surrounded by laws, and he could attack at any time. Beside him was a figure. It was also a beautiful woman. There was a sly smile on her face, and she did not show any fear because of the terrifying battle. "I am King Wu Shuang's 5th disciple, Shengguan Shaoxian." Buzz. Xin Jingqiu arrived. She came to Lin Xian's side and looked at him as well. Apart from senior brother Linghu, most of the people on our side have already arrived. The lineup on Wushuang City's side was very strong. Each of them was a top figure. They were facing the 5 great sage city without fear. Wushuang City is really courting death. Now, surrender obediently and accept our judgment. The woman in white from the Acheron Palace said coldly. "You dare to judge me?" Shengguan Shaoxian walked out. "What, you want to fight one-on-one?" The woman in white also walked out. The 2 of them stood in the void. Suddenly, the woman in white attacked. The Acheron sword slashed out. At the same time, the Acheron diagram and the Acheron chain flew out. It was a killing move right away. Terrifying laws and supernatural powers surged out, as if nothing could stop them. Everyone was watching, wondering how Shengguan Shaoxian was going to defend herself. Shengguan Shaoxian did not care. With a wave of her hand, she took out a golden brush and a book. Like a scholar, the golden brush drew one golden Tao pattern after another in the air. It was just a few strokes, but it formed a picture. It was a heavenly master holding a rune to suppress the ghosts under his feet. This golden picture carried with it an overwhelming aura as it pressed forward. The woman in white was disdainful at first. However, when she felt the aura from the picture, her expression changed immediately. She frantically retreated. The righteous aura was very effective against her. Soon, all the supernatural powers she cast were shattered. She also suffered from the impact and spat out a mouthful of blood. "Sister." Seeing this, the man in black armor shouted angrily. He stomped his foot and rushed over. He drew a black torrent and a long spear appeared in his hand. He stabbed at the golden picture in front of him with his sword. In the next moment, the collision of the two caused a deafening sound. The heavenly master's protection on the golden picture seemed to have come alive. She waved her hand and threw the rune at the man in black armor. The man in black armor was also on guard. However, at this moment, the white-robed woman charged over once again. The killing sword in her hand pierced through the golden rune. The two of them attacked Shangguan Shaoxian together. "Are they trying to bully me with numbers?" Gao Jianfei walked over from behind. He took out the guqin on his back and played it with his fingers. High mountain and flowing water, heavenly sound kill. An extremely terrifying heavenly sound wave rushed out. Buzz, buzz. The two of them worked together and sent the two Saint Venerables from the Acheron Hall flying. Countless exclamations were heard. The people from the Acheron Hall looked pale. They did not expect that the two of them would lose. One should know that the two of them were known as the Acheron messengers. They could not defeat King Wushuang's personal disciple? Damn it. The two of them gritted their teeth. At this moment, the middle-aged man from the Great Desolation Mansion walked out. He placed the coffin on the ground. Immediately, the world shook. He opened the coffin with force. He sneered. Everything was over. An extremely terrifying aura spread out. Shangguan Shaoxian and Gao Jianfei's expressions changed. The two of them cast out their supernatural powers. The terrifying aura of desolation tore everything apart. However, they did not relax. They did not know what was inside. Buzz. After the coffin was opened, the hand that had been training reached out. There was only a palm and nothing else. However, the aura it carried was incomparably terrifying. It was as if the hand of a god was suppressing everything. The golden picture that Shangguan Shaoxian cast out collapsed. Even the sound waves from the mountains and rivers were shattered. The two of them were shocked. What was that? Seeing this, Fu Hongya shouted coldly and retreated quickly. It was a secret treasure. Indeed, it should be a hand left behind by an ancient saint. The expert from the Great Desolation Mansion must have practiced it. There was a crack on the hand. A mysterious eye peeked out from the crack. It was emitting a terrifying light. Shangguan Shaoxian and Gao Jianfei immediately felt that their bodies were bound. They could not retreat at all. At this moment, Lin Xian shouted coldly. He activated the 10 ultimate sword formation and slashed the hand away. "You're courting death. How dare you stop me?" The middle-aged man shouted angrily. He stretched out his hand. The mysterious eye in the palm could affect one's soul. Chapter 4254. However, he still underestimated Lin Xian. Lin Xian's 10 severing swords carried a sharp sword aura that was capable of destroying everything. Therefore, the 10 extinction swords formation instantly enveloped the palm and then shattered it. A crazy roar was heard as blood flowed. The middle-aged man vomited blood and flew backward. "How dare you!" He shouted angrily, but he was scared out of his wits because Lin Xian charged over with the sword formation. He was slashed into a bloody mist. Was he dead? Everyone was shocked. This Lin Xian was too terrifying. Buzz. Someone from the demon city made a move. The woman formed a seal with her palms. Her two arms turned into two huge mysterious flowers. They were purple with strange Tao patterns on them. The flowers bloomed. A fragrance wafted out. Everyone was shocked and held their breaths. They were terrified. The two strange flowers attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted. He waved the 10 extinction swords. However, at this moment, another figure walked out. It was Lung Ao Jun. Lung Ao Jun said coldly as soon as he appeared. Fleeting beauty. With a cold shout, the two mysterious flowers withered instantly. Then, the woman's face turned pale as she roared in horror. Her arms fell to her sides. She no longer had strength. Everyone was shocked. It was too terrifying. Each of the personal disciples of unparalleled Sage King had strange laws. At this moment, they were really terrifying. For a moment, they suppressed several great sage cities. However, at this moment, a palm reached out from the ninth heaven and grabbed Lin Xian. Indeed, the power contained in this palm was too terrifying. Even Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He activated the 10 extinction swords to block. The 10 swords of law continued to dance and slash at the palm. With a clang, he was forced back, his blood and chi tumbling. The surrounding people were all shocked. Who on earth could actually injure Lin Xian? A cold voice sounded between heaven and earth. Kid, today is the day you die. Then a figure walked out. Huang Shisan. He actually came as well. Huang Shisan was an expert from the previous generation. Moreover, he was already a middle-stage Saint Venerable. Xiao Chen's strength far surpassed that of an early-stage Holy Venerate. As expected, once he made his move, Lin Xian's 10 absolute swords were unable to do anything to him. Lin Xian's face was cold. Fu Hongye walked out. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you to the end. He was also a middle-stage Holy Venerable, so the two of them fought for a long time. The other people shouted coldly and attacked. So what if the other party was strong? Sure enough, a spatial array appeared behind them, and the others were all teleported over. The number of people instantly increased by several times. In an instant, Lin Xian and the others were surrounded. The young Sky Prides were not the only ones among them. Many older generation figures had come. Aside from Huang Shisan, many middle-stage holy venerates from the other holy cities also came. It could be said that Wushuang City's situation was extremely dangerous. Murong Qingqing also asked the Kunlun Pavilion to send some masters. However, he was still unable to turn the situation around. Everyone's expression turned ugly. Those who were watching the battle outside all revealed cold smiles. The Acheron Palace's Silver Corpse Holy King looked at Wushuang Holy King and said coldly, "It's a pity that these genius disciples of yours are all going to fall here today. I wonder how you feel about this." Soaring Sky Holy King also snorted coldly. Dead geniuses were nothing. Only those who were alive had a future. They all had a hint of mockery. The people of Wushuang City had an ugly expression. Wushuang Holy King also said coldly, "You guys better not be happy too early. It's still not certain who will emerge victorious." "What? Do you want to turn the tables around?" Desolate Sky Holy King sneered. "How is that possible? So what if the other party was a genius?" There were only a few of them, and they were no match for the great sage city. The surrounding people also shook their heads and sighed. They all felt that Wushuang City was really finished this time. They were surrounded, and none of them could break out of the encirclement. These people are too despicable. Yu Ruo gritted her teeth. Shangguan Shaoxian and the others also turned pale. They knew that the upcoming battle would be very difficult. Lu Yuan took a deep breath. He was the third disciple, and Fu Hongye was not around. He was the leader, so he said, "Listen up, if there's a chance, break out of the encirclement. Leave by yourself. Leave as many as you can." Obviously, he was prepared for the worst. Everyone took a deep breath. Lin Xian, on the other hand, said, "Senior brothers, don't worry. If they were to compete in numbers, they would be courting death." Hearing this, Yu Ruo and the others were stunned. What does he mean? One should know that even if all the people of Wushuang City came, there would only be 11 of them. In addition to Murong Qingqing's Kunlun Pavilion, there would only be 2 forces. There was no way they could resist. On the opposite side, the people of Acheron Palace and Great Desolate Mansion sneered. "You really don't know what's good for you. Looks like you won't cry until you see the coffin. Well, I'll let you know what despair is." These people were emitting terrifying laws. They would torture these people to death. Lin Xian sneered and didn't care. To be honest, he wasn't afraid of competing in numbers. In the next moment, he took out the blue dragon horn. Then he used it, and a deep and resonant dragon's roar spread out in all directions. Is it a sonic attack? Be careful. When the surrounding powerhouses of the holy city saw this scene, they quickly put up a defense. One after another, laws formed and shrouded them. However, they were soon stunned, because they realized that it wasn't a sonic attack. They weren't affected. What's this then? The people outside were also stunned. Is this kid deliberately mystifying them? When the powerhouses of the dragons all over the world heard this sound, their expressions changed. It was the sound of the blue dragon horn. It was the sound of gathering. Go quickly. The people of the three dragons quickly gathered in the place where the sound was coming from. On the other side, a few powerhouses of the great sage city were furious. They felt that Lin Xian was playing with them. This kid was deliberately mystifying them. Don't bother with them. Just attack. These people were angry. The laws on their bodies completely erupted. However, at this moment, a dragon's roar came from afar. Then, countless dragon auras sounded between heaven and earth. Dragon shadows rushed into the sky. He quickly rushed over here. The blue dragons were here. An angry roar was heard. Then, the people of the blue dragons descended from the sky. They arrived nearby. The surrounding people were stunned. Are the people of the dragons here? The situation of the battle became even more confusing. The people of the Acheron Palace frowned. The people of the dragons? Don't bother with them. The people of the demon city walked out and said, "Friends of the dragons, we are dealing with some things. Please don't interfere." The one who spoke was a black lion. He was also a mutant. He was very powerful. However, after the powerhouses of the blue dragons heard this, they snorted coldly and ignored him. Instead, they went directly to Lin Xian and the others. "Sword Maniac, it's really you," Meng Qing said with a smile. The powerhouses of the blue dragons had solemn expressions. They took a deep breath. "Young master, why did you summon us? What was going on?" The people of the demon city were stunned. The dark lion's expression also became extremely ugly. No matter what, he was a middle-stage holy venerate expert. Furthermore, he was a natural variant. This Azure Dragon race member actually dared to ignore him. Chapter 4255. Even the elders outside were stunned. The three experts from the great sage city took a deep breath. They naturally knew what it was, but they didn't say anything. And in the trial space, there were countless terrifying sword lights slashing over from afar. Were the experts from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion here again? They all turned their heads to look. But soon, they realized that wasn't the case. Because these sword lights carried a powerful aura of the Tao of Dragons. They were from the Sword Dragons. The people from the 1,000 Demon City exclaimed. The people from the other holy cities were also shocked. Another dragon had arrived. When the people from the dragons arrived, they also looked at Lin Xian and asked, "Why did young master summon us?" Well, the surrounding people were dumbfounded. What was going on? The sword dragons were actually so respectful to Lin Xian. And from their words, the two dragons were here because of Lin Xian's summon. When did Lin Xian summon them? Could it be because of the horn just now? Winged dragons greet young master. In the sky, a storm swept across the 9 heavens. One figure after another descended. Their wings covered the sky. They were the people from the winged dragons. They also came and stood beside Lin Xian. The 3 dragons were led by Lin Xian. Everyone was stunned by this scene. The Saint Kings outside narrowed their eyes. Some of them looked at the 3 dragon tribes and their faces became extremely solemn. Among them, the soaring sky sage king gritted his teeth. Could it be that the kid had the Azure Dragon horn? That was a peerless treasure of the Azure Dragon clan. It was actually taken by a human? These sage kings had naturally heard of the legend of the Azure Dragon horn. But in their opinion, it was impossible for such a thing to be spread. They didn't expect it to be in Lin Xian's hands. Damn it, they were too careless. The desolate sky sage king and the silver corpse sage king's faces were ugly. The soaring sky sage king stood up and looked into the distance. Are you 3 dragons really willing to listen to the orders of a human? Why don't we work together to kill that kid and you can regain control of the Azure Dragon Horn? This way, both of us will benefit. As soon as these words came out, the other holy cities gasped. It seemed that these people actually had designs on the Dragon Balls. The faces of the people from Peerless City changed. Peerless Saint King even stood up and sneered. What? You want to use despicable means again? You can try it. The three dragons looked at each other, then shook their heads and sighed. One of the elders stood up and said calmly, Soaring Sky Saint King, you must be joking. The Azure Dragon Horn's approval is not something anyone can change. We are also powerless. After he finished speaking, he sat down again and no longer paid any attention to him. Damn it. Soaring Sky Saint King's face turned ugly. His opponent was actually ignoring him. He couldn't believe it. The Silver Corpse Saint King and the others also had a cold expression as they communicated through voice transmissions. It's fine. So what if there are 3 dragons? We still have the advantage. Indeed, other than the Yellow Spring Hall, the Great Desolation Mansion, and the Myriad Demon City, there was also the Lightning God City and the Myriad Sword Pavilion. They were the 5 forces. Other than that, they could also negotiate with the Purple Sun Palace and the Spirit Gathering Pavilion. Let the other party join their camp. This way, they would become even stronger. He didn't believe that these people could overturn the heavens. In the space, the people of the 5 great sage cities were also shocked. Even the people of the Peerless City were shocked. Murong Qingqing and the others were also stunned. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, I have summoned you here for a reason. Follow me to battle. All right. Meng Qing nodded. She and Lin Xian were friends, so she naturally wouldn't have any objections. The people of the winged and sword dragons were stunned. To be honest, they weren't too willing to fight with the 5 great sage cities, because they didn't want to be involved in such a whirlpool. But when they saw the Azure Dragon Horn in Lin Xian's hand, they sighed. The other party had the Azure Dragon Horn and could command the dragons. But at this moment, a voice rang out. What right do you have to order us? When this voice rang out, the people of the 3 Dragon Balls were stunned. What was going on? They had already acknowledged the other party's identity. Who was the one resisting? Lin Xian frowned. He turned his head and saw 2 figures flying over from afar. They were 2 beginner sacred masters. One of them was like a demonic beast, with a demonic aura around him. He even had scales on his face and a tail on his back. This must be someone from the Flood Dragon tribe. He frowned. Beside the lady stood a burly man with a dragon horn on his forehead. The aura of the Tao of Dragons around him was extremely strong. What was going on? Lin Xian frowned. Meng Qing was also stunned. Song Ju, what are you doing? Are you going to defy the order of the Azure Dragon Horn? This man was from the Azure Dragon tribe. He had been training outside. This time, he seemed to want to oppose Lin Xian. Lin Xian said coldly when he saw the other party. He took out the Azure Dragon Horn. When Song Ju saw this, a cold light flashed in his eyes. A third eye appeared between his eyebrows. It was the eye of the Azure Dragon. It was emitting green light and looked extremely mysterious. He locked his gaze on the Azure Dragon Horn. Brat, this item belongs to us dragons. What right do you have to take it? Hand over the Azure Dragon Horn obediently and I'll give you a chance to live. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. A cold voice sounded. The lady from the demon tribe laughed. Since when did the dragons allow themselves to be manipulated by a human? I think you'd better listen to Tsangju. As soon as he said that, the faces of the people from the 3 great dragon tribes darkened. The people from the demon's city sneered. This lady from the demon tribe was on their side. From the looks of it, they had already succeeded. Let these people fight amongst themselves first. But are your souls affected? You're Tsangju, right? It seems that you don't know what's good for you. You don't even know who I am? I'll give you one last chance. Listen to my orders. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Songju sneered. You're just an ant. How dare you order me around? I have the eye of the Azure Parasol. I'm the best candidate for the Azure Dragon Horn. Now, I want it back to its rightful owner. With a roar, the dragon energy on his body surged. The eye between his brows emitted a shocking light and charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's face darkened. He attacked mercilessly. The 10 laws formed the 10 extremes formation again and attacked, shattering that green gaze into pieces. In the next moment, his cold voice sounded. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me. Then, he activated the Great Dragon's Sword Soul and Dragon's Breathing Technique. A terrifying aura of the Tao of Dragons surged. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a divine dragon that had come back to life. The powerful aura of the Tao of Dragons enveloped the 9 heavens. At this moment, everyone's face changed. This aura. Is this brat really a human? Could he be from the Dragon Ball too? Song Ju was originally disdainful. As long as he killed this human brat, he would be able to get the Azure Dragon Horn. At that time, he would be able to command the 3 dragons. Who would be able to go against him? But now, when he sensed the aura coming from this person, his expression changed. Impossible! Such a terrifying aura of the Tao of Dragons? None of the 3 dragons could use it. Who was this person? Why was his aura of the Tao of Dragons so pure? Could it be that he was even more powerful than the 3 dragons? Or was he from the Emperor clan, the nest of 10,000 dragons? Chapter 4256. The aura was too terrifying. The lady from the dragon tribe was forced to kneel on the ground, unable to resist. Song Ju, who was beside him, looked pale as he roared crazily. Impossible! When he realized that it was the truth, he quickly retreated. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? With a roar, he unleashed all his strength. The 10 extinction swords turned into an eternal radiance and slashed over. As the sword landed, Song Ju was split into 2 and his soul was extinguished. Was he killed? The people from the Blue Dragon tribe narrowed their eyes while the others' faces changed drastically. Lin Xian said coldly as he held the blue dragon leg in his hand. Who dares to disobey? At this moment, the 3 dragons were convinced. Lin Xian's voice continued to resound. Everyone obeyed and attacked the 5 great sage cities. As soon as he finished speaking, he took the lead and rushed over. The 10 extinction swords formation exploded and split the 2 sacred masters apart. The other 4 sacred masters were sent flying. Damn it. Quickly counterattack. The people from the 5 great sage cities roared and quickly attacked. In an instant, the people from the Kunlun Pavilion and the 3 dragons erupted. The battle between the 2 sides was extremely intense. Everyone was stunned. Such a battle was enough to destroy everything. Fortunately, this was the trial ground. It was a supreme existence that had been set up for tens of thousands of years. That was why they could withstand it. Otherwise, no matter how many worlds there were outside, they would have been destroyed. Lin Xian was unstoppable as he destroyed everything in his path. No one could stop him. In the end, only the middle sacred masters could come. The one who attacked was the Dark Lion from the Demon City. He roared and charged over. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed. The 10 extinction swords formation blocked in front of him and forced him to retreat. However, in the process of retreating, he had injured 2 experts from the Great Desolate Mansion. One could imagine his strength. How would the situation turn out? Those who were watching the battle from outside looked extremely solemn. No one could predict the outcome of such a battle. The people of Acheron Hall gritted their teeth, while the Saint Kings looked extremely solemn. Right now, they couldn't wait to charge in and start a massacre. The battle was exceptionally intense. At that moment, countless purple auras appeared in the sky. Another holy city had joined in. The people from the Purple Sun Palace had come. Which force did they come to join? After the people from Purple Sun Palace arrived, they actually joined Yellow Spring Palace. The 5 great sage cities on Acheron Hall's side were overjoyed. This was great. Their side had become the 6th great sage city. They didn't believe that the other party could resist them. Lin Xian roared. Aside from the aura of the Way of the Dragon, there was also an extremely terrifying devil chi. He swung his sword at the sky. The heavenly devil cover region. Boundless demonic clouds billowed with terrifying power. Then, the demons in the distance also rushed over. The heavenly devil race quickly descended. Lin Xian brandished his sword. The sky demons joined the fray and charged over. The sky demons also joined in? The people of Acheron Hall and Great Desolation Mansion looked grim once again. The little advantage they had just gained was gone again. But soon they were in despair, because they realized that this was just the beginning. Then, countless bells rang in the distance. Xin Er came with the people of Joyous Union Palace and said with a smile, "Young Master Lin, let me help you." She also joined Lin Xian's side, increasing the strength of Lin Xian's side. Not long after, Guan Songhai also came. "Sword Maniac, I didn't expect you to be Lin Wudi. You really surprised me." He laughed and also joined Lin Xian's side. In an instant, Lin Xian's side became 8 major forces. The situation had taken a shocking turn. The people of Acheron Hall couldn't resist at all. In an instant they were retreating. The difference between the 2 great sage cities was too great. Even they couldn't resist. So, they prepared to retreat. They were really mad. To be honest, they didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to gather 8 major forces. It was simply heaven-defying. Those who were watching the battle outside were also shocked. The sage kings all stood up, their faces were extremely grim. Their hearts were bleeding. With such a difference in strength, they couldn't resist at all. In just a short while, many of their geniuses and experts had fallen. Damn it. Purple Sun Sage King roared, his face was terrifyingly gloomy. Wushuang Sage King snorted. Serves them right. Wushuang City and Purple Sun Palace didn't have any grudges, but they chose to go against them at the crucial moment. Now that they were killed, it could only be said that they deserved it. As for the people of Acheron Hall and Great Desolation Mansion, they were gritting their teeth. They didn't expect that a dead young man was still alive. Moreover, it brought about such an earth-shattering change. Lin Xian took the lead and rushed over with his men. With the 10 Extremes formation, he seemed to have turned into a killing god. Ordinary early-stage Saint Venerables couldn't resist at all. Only mid-stage Saint Venerables could. The 6 great holy cities that were originally complacent were being beaten back repeatedly at this moment. Above the 9 heavens, Desolate 13, who was fighting with Fu Hongye, was also enraged. Damn it. He wanted to go down and help, but Fu Hongye shot out a ray of red leaves. It formed a crack in the sky, blocking his path. "Your opponent is me." "Damn it." Desolate 13 roared. "Do you really think that I can't defeat you?" At this moment he unleashed his strength, and the desolation aura on his body was shattered. He summoned a barren canyon, from which countless illusionary figures charged at Fu Hongye. Fu Hongye's body shone brightly, and the phantoms of maple leaves appeared behind her. Countless maple leaves charged over with terrifying nomological laws. Both of them were fighting with real anger. The battle was terrifying. In the trial ground, in an uninhabited mountain range, the void cracked open. A figure walked out. It was Gu Feng. At this moment, Gu Feng was expressionless as he walked inside. A voice came from inside. "Who is it?" As soon as the voice came out, the surrounding mountains shattered. Gu Feng said, "It's me." A human figure floated out from the 3 fangs. It was actually just a head that was surrounded by chaotic sword light. It was Wan Jianyi, who had escaped earlier. Wan Jianyi was seriously injured, and he was injured by the 10 ultimate sword formation and the great dragon sword soul. Therefore, his broken body couldn't recover in a short time. Fortunately, he was able to escape with Gu Feng's help. As long as he was given enough resources and time, he would be able to recover. "Thank you for your help this time. Don't worry, I'll remember this favor. If you need any help in the future, just let me know." Wan Jianyi's eyes were filled with gratitude. At the same time, there was a trace of killing intent. "That damned Lin Wudi, I'll never let him go. The pain that I suffered today, I'll pay it back 10,000 times in the future." Hearing this, Gu Feng's lips curled into a smile. "Is that so? I have something that I need your help with now." "What is it?" Wan Jianyi was shocked. He was seriously injured and his strength was very weak. Now that Gu Feng wanted his help, he was very confused. Gu Feng flipped his hand and took out an ancient rune. Chapter 4257. This sudden change left Wan Jinni dumbfounded. When he was enveloped by the ancient runes, he felt an intense soul attack. Then he roared crazily, "Damn it, what are you doing?" The wanton sword light that surrounded him also rushed out, as if it could destroy the heavens and the earth. Gu Feng used his spatial ability to create many large cracks, directly banishing the power of the chaotic sword light into the void universe. In the next moment, he said coldly, "Don't you want to repay me? Then I'll use you." "Damn it, you want me to be your battle servant? What a joke." Wan Jinni also understood that he was really angry. Previously, he was still grateful that Gu Feng had joined forces with him. But who would have thought that Gu Feng was actually targeting him? He was a peerless sword venerable, extremely powerful, and had mastered the eightfold sword formation and cultivated the chaotic sword chi. His future was limitless. How could he lower his head to others? "It's useless, stop struggling. If you were at your peak, I naturally wouldn't dare to use such methods to subdue you. But now, you're heavily injured and can't even use 1/10 of your power. Although you have the chaotic sword chi, it's just a trace, it's really too little. How can you fight against me at my peak?" Speaking of this, the spatial laws on his body became even more terrifying. It was as if the entire world was under his control. "Damn it," Wan Jinni gritted his teeth, "even if I die, I won't let you get what you want. I might even drag you down with me." Speaking of this, the chaotic sword light became even more terrifying. But he still underestimated Gu Feng. A terrifying black hole appeared on Gu Feng's body, directly enveloping the chaotic sword light. At the same time, his cold voice sounded, "Don't worry, I'm not making you my battle servant, I'm just planting a seal in your soul. I just need you to help me with some things, I won't make things difficult for you. As for your soul, it's no different from usual, and I'll even give you a chance." Chance? Wan Jinni was stunned, he didn't believe it. Gu Feng obviously wanted to control him and borrow his power. "The chaotic energy that you cultivated is too weak. I can send you to the real chaotic land to cultivate. I can let you cultivate the sword of chaos completely." What? Wan Jinni's pupils contracted, then he snorted, "What kind of joke is this? Do you think I'm so gullible?" Gu Feng sneered. "You are too naive. The place I am talking about is naturally not the second astral realm, but planet Shiwan. To tell you the truth, I came from planet Shiwan. Planet Primordial had a holy land called the All Beginnings Holy Land, which cultivated the primal chaos energy. As for the legends of planet Primordial, I think you should have heard some of them." Once these words were spoken, Wan Jinni fell silent. Indeed, among the myriad of worlds, there were two worlds that were the most unique. Planet Shiwan was one of them. At this moment, Gu Feng spoke again. "I have another secret to tell you. The person you hate the most is Lin Wudi. He also comes from the origin star." What? Wan Jinni's pupils shrank. This time, he was truly stunned. That guy was actually from the primordial star. No wonder he was so terrifying. "Damn it," he said through gritted teeth. "I can join hands with you, but can you not place a soul restriction on me?" Gu Feng's expression also turned cold. He said, "This is not up to you. Now, I'll give you two choices. The first is to listen to me and place a soul restriction on you, and I'll give you a good fortune. Or I'll destroy your soul." Wan Jinni had no choice. He had no power to resist at all. He could only listen to the other party. The next moment he felt the ancient runes enter his soul. Then a tearing pain came over him, causing him to almost faint. The next moment, shock appeared in his eyes. He felt an ancient voice in his soul reminding him. It told him to respect the person in front of him. He knew that it would be difficult for him to escape from Gu Feng's control in this lifetime unless he could break through and become a sage king. He had to get rid of this soul restriction. Very good. Gu Feng's lips curled up into a cold smile. Subduing such a peerless expert would make it much easier for him to act in the future. What happened here was very secretive. Other than the two of them, no one else knew. This was because the others were attracted by the great battle. The six great sage could not resist at all, so they fled in all directions. On the other hand, the 8 forces led by Lin Xian continued their pursuit. At this moment, not only did they want to snatch the token, but they also wanted to eliminate these people as much as possible. Thus, a great pursuit began. In the sky, Fu Hongye and Huang Shisan were locked in a fierce battle. Desolate God's Claw. The terrifying Desolate Law surged out like a flood. Nothing could stop it. Huang Shisan's attack was extremely powerful. Those who were watching the battle from outside narrowed their eyes. They were also looking forward to the battle and were shocked. They wondered how the battle between these two old enemies would turn out. Fu Hongye naturally felt the terrifying power coming from the Desolate God's Claw. His opponent was extremely powerful. He did not dare to underestimate him. In the next moment, he kept forming seals with his palms. Countless red leaves appeared in his hands. Then he waved his arms. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. Huang Shisan had already summoned the Desolate Grand Canyon. A few chains rushed out from the canyon. Then there was a hazy figure. It was a majestic figure. He was abnormally powerful, like a deity. There was a terrifying aura about it. The experts of the sacred city outside were all shocked by this scene. What was that? Even the people of the great desolate mansion were stunned. Some of the elders gasped. Could it be that thing? Did Huang Shisan succeed? Sacred King Desolate Heaven looked solemn. He did not expect the battle to reach this stage. It was too much for Huang Shisan to use such a technique. As soon as the majestic figure appeared, Fu Hongye kept retreating. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The red maple leaves he shot out turned into powder. There was nothing he could do. The strength of his opponent was beyond his imagination. Even Huang Shisan's face turned pale. He coughed out a mouthful of blood. It was obvious that the figure he had summoned was beyond his control. He used his blood to draw something on his forehead. It was a mysterious rune. Then he kept forming seals with his palms. Then, a crack appeared on his forehead. A stone tablet flew out from the crack. The tablet was full of cracks. Some parts of it were even broken and incomplete. However, the aura it emitted was too terrifying. As soon as the majestic figure appeared, he let out a roar. He dashed towards Huang Shisan, seemingly wanting to destroy the tablet. Huang Shisan quickly retreated. His blood dyed the stone steel, drawing out one line after another as they floated into the air. Then a cold voice sounded. Chapter 4258. The figure stopped Fu Hongye in his tracks. He quickly rushed over and was tightly bound by the 6 chains around his body. However, he was too strong. He could still shatter the heavens and earth even when he was bound by the chains. Oh no, Hongye is in danger. The people of Wushuang City tensed up when they saw this. The people of Great Desolate Mansion sneered. They did not expect Huang Shisan to be able to control Fu Hongye. This figure was really out of their expectations. It seemed that they had won this battle. Fu Hongye was dead and Huang Shisan had joined the battle. Although Lin Xian and the others were stronger, they could still turn the tables. Huang Shisan, you are indeed stronger than before. However, it's impossible for you to defeat me. Fu Hongye's eyes shone with a cold light. He quickly formed a seal with his palms. Then, the maple tree behind him started to sway rapidly. A terrifying aura spread out. The maple tree seemed to have come alive. Mysterious runes appeared on the maple tree. A terrifying energy spread out and dyed the heavens and earth in red. Countless people were shocked when they saw this. Even the experts of Sacred City were shocked. This Fu Hongye actually had such a shocking skill. It was truly inconceivable. Although the red maple tree was just an illusion, it was becoming more and more real. It was as if it had transcended time and space. The entire world shook along with the maple tree, but Fu Hongye's expression was incomparably nervous. Even his hands were trembling slightly. It was clear that he had also used an ultimate technique that was beyond his strength. The ancient blood sealed everything. A deep voice rang out, accompanied by endless red leaves that swept through the 9 heavens. The entire world turned red. Everything else lost its luster. The people who were watching the battle from outside narrowed their eyes. They saw that the maple tree was rapidly swaying, and boundless leaves were rushing out from it. Each of them carried the power to seal the heavens and earth. Everything was sealed wherever they passed. There was no way to stop them. This mystic skill shocked them. Initially, Huang Shisan had a cold smile on his face. He knew that he was going to win this time. His opponent would not be able to stop him because he was casting a forbidden mystic skill. Even if he won, he would be severely injured. However, when he sensed the power of the red leaves that filled the sky, his expression turned incomparably ugly. In terms of power, it posed a threat to him. It could even affect that majestic figure. Damn it. His expression changed, and he spat out another mouthful of blood, staining the broken stone tablet. His palm continued to draw runes, and the majestic figure became even more terrifying. With a roar, his strength increased again. Then, under everyone's shocked gazes, it merged with the red maple leaves that filled the sky. Boom! 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 An earth-shattering sound rang out as a terrifying storm of laws swept out in all directions. The originally red world was now filled with a desolate aura. Everywhere he passed, everything became barren and ruined. What happened? All the people in the space looked up, and even the experts of the holy city who were fighting stopped and turned their heads to look. They saw the destruction of the world. It was a battle between Fu Hongye and Huang Shisan. Someone cried out in alarm. Was the victor going to be decided? The people outside were even more nervous. The terrifying rumbling of the laws lasted for a long time before it slowly disappeared. Next, they saw a maple tree rooted between the sky and the earth, shaking nonstop. A figure stood under the maple tree. It was Fu Hongye. His face was pale. It was obvious that he had exhausted too much of his strength, but he still stood there. On the other side, Huang Shisan was sent flying while spitting out blood. His body was shattered. It was obvious that he had been severely injured in the previous battle. He had been completely suppressed. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all stunned. They could not believe it, especially the people of the great desolate mansion. They felt like they were dreaming. That was Huang Shisan, and he had used the taboo god call. The figure that he had summoned was so terrifying that even a middle saint venerable would not be able to resist it. However, Fu Hongye had blocked it. It was unbelievable. At this moment, Fu Hongye made another move. The endless red maple leaves condensed into a red sword, which he held in his hand. Huang Shisan's pupils shrank. Damn it, he wanted to attack again. Was he trying to kill him? He quickly gathered his strength and fled into the distance. But in the next moment, the red maple leaves fell and landed on Huang Shisan's body. Desolate 13 tried to block the attack with the broken stone tablet. With a clang, the cracks on the steel became even more terrifying. 1/3 of the steel had turned into dust. Huang Shisan's heart was bleeding. He spat out blood and was sent flying. Fortunately, he managed to block the attack. Then he used a secret technique and disappeared. Even Huang Shisan was defeated. The people of the great sage city originally still had hope, but when they saw this scene, they were terrified. Their scalps went numb. Run away. They fled even faster. Fu Hongye wanted to chase after them. However, he soon frowned because he felt that an even more terrifying existence was descending. Retreat, everyone leave. With a roar, he quickly retreated. The endless maple leaves formed a red mountain in front of him to block the attack. But he was forced back. Not good, senior brother Hongye is injured. Damn it, a late Saint Venerable is here. Yurua Lu Yuan and the others cried out in alarm. Their faces became extremely grave. Sure enough, an aged figure appeared in the sky. He stretched out a finger. At this moment, another voice sounded. It was an extremely terrifying voice. Following that, a sword light slashed down. You dare to attack my Wushuang city? Do you have the ability? Linghu Chueshue walked out and stood in the sky. He confronted the powerful late Saint Venerable old man. At the same time, even more terrifying figures appeared in the surroundings. There were people from the Yellow Spring Hall and Lin Xian's side. Those holy venerables also seemed to have gathered at this moment. The surrounding people felt an extremely terrifying suppression. Although they were all holy venerables, their strength would undergo an earth-shaking change every time their cultivation increased. Compared to them, late Saint Venerables were too terrifying. They simply did not have the strength to resist. For a time, everyone retreated. Lin Xian and the others also broke up and began to fight on their own. After all, they were too big of a target if they gathered together. It was easy for late Saint Venerables to target them. Big Brother Xian, what should we do? Murong Qingqing, Shinjingqiu, and the others asked. Lin Xian said, be careful. Do not fight with those late Saint Venerables old monsters. I'll go deal with one person. After saying that, a cold murderous intent burst out of Ling Huchueshue's eyes. Then he soared into the air and flew into the distance. Chapter 4259. Lin Xian left alone to hunt down Huang Shisan. Although Huang Shisan was a prodigy of the previous generation, he was very powerful and had reached the middle stage of the sacred venerable realm. However, Huang Shisan had been severely injured in the battle with Fu Hongye. Lin Xian felt that this was a good opportunity, so he was ready to make a move. He activated his heavenly secret divine eyes, and a pair of divine eyes looked down from the sky. At the same time, he activated the ancient mirror to investigate. Soon, a smile appeared on his face. Is he hiding? Looks like he's seriously injured. Thinking of this, he increased his speed. There were a few mountains in front of him. Although they were not tall, they exuded a primordial aura. It was like a divine mountain. Looks like Huang Shisan has chosen a good place to escape. After Lin Xian arrived, he felt an unusual aura, which made him feel shocked. In the next moment, he snorted and waved his hand. The blue dragon's 9 palms rushed out. It was as if the 9 divine dragons had come back to life. They blasted out in all directions. Suddenly, there was the sound of barriers breaking. It was obvious that Huang Shisan had set up a formation here. He's quite cautious, but it's useless. Lin Xian sneered. Come out, I found you. No one came out, but there were countless laws descending and sweeping in all directions. Soon, a sneer came from inside. Kid, how dare you come here alone? Are you here to die? Along with the voice, a figure walked out. It was Huang Shisan. At this moment, his body was stained with blood, which was abnormally glaring. His face was extremely pale. However, his eyes were filled with endless killing intent that stirred the surrounding wind and clouds. He locked his gaze on Lin Xian. You're wrong. I'm not here to die. I'm here to kill you. Lin Xian said in a sonorous voice. Kill me? Huang Shisan looked up to the sky and laughed, his eyes filled with disdain. Kid, do you think you can challenge me just because I'm injured? You're courting death. Looks like you still don't know the difference between us. Let me tell you, even if I'm injured, I'm not someone you can challenge. When the people outside saw this scene, they were also in an uproar. This Lin Xian was too audacious, wasn't he? Even he wanted to kill Huang Shisan. The faces of the people from the great desolate mansion turned ugly. The elders gritted their teeth and said, kill this brat. Truth be told, they were worried about Desolate 13's injuries. If it was Fu Hongye who came after them, they would naturally be afraid. However, they didn't take Lin Xian seriously at all. The other party was strong, but he was only an early-stage holy venerate. However, Huang Shisan was a true middle-stage holy exalted. Die for me. Desolate 13 snorted coldly. 2 brilliant rays of light shot out from his eyes. Boundless divine rainbows streaked across the sky like 2 shooting stars. Suddenly, the sky shook and the earth shook. The void continued to shatter as the ground cracked open. A terrifying power swept out towards Lin Xian. The expressions of those who were watching the battle from outside became solemn once again. Even though Huang Shisan was severely injured, he was still able to unleash a powerful attack. He wanted them to know that even if Huang Shisan was injured, he wasn't someone who could be defeated by just anyone. Lin Xian naturally knew this as well, so he didn't dare to be careless. In an instant, he unleashed 10 different types of laws. The 10 ultimate sword formation was instantly unleashed and surrounded him. Terrifying sword chi rose from the ground. It slashed forward. Boom, 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 boom. At this moment, the faces of the trial takers in the space changed once more. Who's it? They looked at the terrifying scene in the distance and gasped. Another top-notch expert was fighting. They didn't go over because they couldn't even take care of themselves. The sixth great sage city was fighting against the 8 major forces, and many late-stage holy venerate seniors had also come out. When the battle broke out, everyone had to focus on dealing with it. However, the sixth great sage city was doomed to suffer heavy losses. It's useless. Now that you're severely injured, I can kill you. Lin Xian took a step forward. The sword qi on his body swept across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. At this moment, he was like a peerless sword, as if he could control the world. The sword qi formed by the 10 laws circled around him. He looked forward. You don't know what's good for you. Today, I'll use your head to show off my might. Huang Shisan also roared angrily. Suddenly, the surrounding sky and earth spun, shaking for thousands of miles. He was completely enraged. At this moment, he swallowed a pill to suppress his injuries. Then he quickly charged over. Buzz, buzz, buzz. He waved his palm. The laws between heaven and earth surged violently, forming 5 scimitars with an extremely terrifying desolate aura. It could take away all life. These 5 scimitars were like crescent moons. They descended from the sky and enveloped Lin Xian. The moon was in the wilderness. A powerful divine ability and absolute art was unleashed. Lin Xian snorted coldly and unleashed a sword technique to contend with it. The two's attacks were earth-shattering. The sonorous sound of swords and sabers rang out. Lin Xian felt a huge force coming toward him. It made his hand numb. He snorted and activated the great dragon sword soul with all his strength. A shocking force erupted again. It forced the 5 scimitars back. Huang Shisan also had eyes. Damn it. His opponent's strength was beyond his imagination. Although his opponent was only a small saint, his strength was far beyond an early-stage saint venerable. He was not far from a mid-stage saint venerable. Moreover, he was injured previously. He could not unleash his full strength at this moment. He was actually forced back by his opponent. With a roar, he formed seals with his palms and blasted over like lightning. They were like 2 black suns descending from the sky. This aura was really terrifying. Desolate sky bright moon seal. The 10 ultimate sword formation shook. Lin Xian also felt his blood and qi churning. He spat out a mouthful of blood. However, his eyes became even brighter. 9 yang divine body. His physique shone with endless radiance. A terrifying force burst out. Lin Xian continued to wield his sword aura and slashed forward. The 10 ultimate sword qi used the Tai Chi diagram as the foundation. It spun continuously and brought with it a destructive force. It clashed fiercely with the other party's desolate sky bright music seal. An earth-shattering sound rang out. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Then, the two's ultimate skills disappeared. The people who were watching the battle outside were stunned. They were evenly matched. Could Lin Xian really contend with Huang Shisan? It was too unbelievable. They felt that they had gone crazy. This guy was fighting across several realms. The faces of the people of the great desolate mansion turned ugly. Huang Shisan gritted his teeth. He roared and rushed forward. Every step he took was intertwined with the great Tao. One step seemed to cover 1,000 miles. In an instant he arrived in front of Lin Xian and threw out a punch. The clouds moved in all directions. Heaven and earth lost their color instantly. Heavenly steel palm. The terrifying fist turned into a huge heavenly steel and soared up into the sky. It wanted to suppress Lin Xian. With a furious roar, Lin Xian also punched out with his fist. The 10 senses sword formation revolved around his fist and exploded with the power of the tiger demon fist. Boom, boom. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. All kinds of skills were used. It was unimaginable. At this moment, a terrifying light burst out from Lin Xian's eyes. Heavenly secret divine eyes. Overturning heaven and earth. Huang Shisan's body trembled. A look of confusion appeared in his eyes. His soul was violently impacted. Then he vomited blood and was sent flying. He roared at the sky. Blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. It was a miserable sight. The injuries that he had suppressed erupted again. Many cracks appeared on his body. Not good. Huang Shisan was injured. Moreover, his previous injuries had erupted. When the people outside saw this scene, they all cried out in surprise. Chapter 4260. How dare you injure my soul? I'll kill you. Desolate 13 roared at the sky. His glabella split open and the broken stone tablet appeared once again. It suppressed the heaven and earth and blocked the terrifying soul attack. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of blood and a mysterious talisman appeared on the stone tablet. Then, a huge canyon appeared behind him. The sound of chains rattling could be heard from the canyon. Then, a tall figure appeared. The figure was abnormally blurry, but it was indomitable and intimidating. There were 6 chains wrapped around his body and the ends of the chains were in the canyon. Obviously, this person was sealed in the canyon. Just who was it that could seal such a supreme existence? It was truly unbelievable. Kid, let's see how you're going to die. Desolate 13's face turned even paler, but he smiled. He knew that his opponent would not be able to stop him. Even if his opponent had 10 types of laws and could form the 10 senses sword formation, he would not be able to stop this figure. Unless his opponent's cultivation was at the same level as him, a mid-stage Saint Venerable, then he would have a chance to fight him. Otherwise, he would definitely die. Outside, the people of the great desolate mansion were also laughing. They knew that there was no suspense in this battle. Although Huang Shisan had suffered more severe injuries after the battle, he was still happy that he had managed to kill Lin Xian once and for all. The people of Acheron Hall and Myriad Demon City sneered. The elders of Wushuang City were extremely nervous. After all, it was this divine ability that had injured Fu Hongya. No matter how strong Fu Hongya was, she could not kill Desolate 13. Could Lin Xian do it now? It was not that they did not believe in Lin Xian. Lin Xian's talent was already heaven-defying. He was probably stronger than Desolate 13 and Fu Hongya. However, Lin Xian was only a small saint. He was still far from becoming a Saint Venerable. Not to mention fighting a mid-stage Saint Venerable. It was too difficult. You're finally using your strongest trump card? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. I admit that your trump card is very strong. But so what? Do you think I don't have any trump cards? Lin Xian sent out his trump card. The great dragon sword spirit merged with the 10 senses sword formation. He gripped the dragon-shaped sword shadow, and the power of the 10 ultimate sword formation enveloped it completely. Then Lin Xian roared, "Immortal!" The sword slashed down. At this moment, he did not hold back at all. All the power in his body was gathered in this sword. With one sword strike, his body became somewhat unstable. However, he still clenched his teeth and roared out, gripping it tightly. Under this sword, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Even the expressions of the late-stage holy venerables in the distance changed. Oh no, who is it? They felt a chill run down their spines and turned their heads to look. Huang Shisan's expression changed drastically. How was this possible? How could his opponent possess such an attack? He roared crazily and wanted to retreat, but it was too late. He could only resist. When he thought of this, he unleashed his power to the extreme, disregarding the consequences of activating the figure. The person who was chained up in the canyon also roared at the sky when he felt the power of the dragon-shaped sword soul. His palms split open the sky like a mountain, and his aura was oppressive. Then he clapped his palms together. It was as if it had turned into a peerless heavenly blade, slashing forward. Clang! With one strike, the sound of thunder could be heard, spreading for tens of millions of miles. The people in the distance. Their ears were bleeding from the deafening sound. In the collision, the person's arms suddenly shattered, and endless cracks appeared. He roared and flew out, crashing into the canyon. The illusory image of the canyon faded. Then, under this sword, a crack actually appeared in the canyon. Damn it, this is impossible. Seeing this scene, the people of the great desolate mansion roared crazily. What the hell is this? How could it be so terrifying? The eyes of the other holy kings were also shining with extremely terrifying light. They pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, wanting to see clearly. Huang Shisan was not in the mood to care about what kind of trump card it was. He only wanted to escape. However, he could not do so. After the cracks appeared in the canyon, it automatically disappeared. He could only use the broken stone tablet to block in front of him. However, this time, the stone tablet shattered into pieces, and he was also slashed apart by the sword strike. Throughout the entire process, there was nothing blocking it. It was too terrifying. When the elders of the holy city saw this scene, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. This kid was simply heaven-defying. There was still hope for the people of the great desolate mansion. They were only slashed apart, so they should not die. Indeed, at their level, it was not easy for them to die. However, after waiting for a long time, they realized that the slashed body did not fuse back together. In fact, Huang Shisan's body fell from the sky. What's going on? Is he dead? This saber strike had directly annihilated the soul. Those people went crazy. Lin Xian also fell from the sky, crashing into the ground. His face was also incomparably pale. The sword strike just now was extremely powerful, but it also came at a great price. All the energy in his body was drained. He did not even have the strength to stand up. If anyone else came here, he would be in great danger. The people of the great desolate mansion went crazy after Huang Shisan was killed with a single slash. The people of the Acheron Hall and Myriad Demon City were also nervous. They did not expect their opponent to have such a trump card. They did not dare to believe it. However, when they saw that their opponent was completely powerless, they revealed a ferocious expression. Great, now is the time. They must take this opportunity to kill their opponent. These Saint Kings formed seals with their palms and actually used an exceptional mystical power and began to transmit their voices inside. This was their only chance to kill Lin Wudi. Moreover, they were very interested in the dragon-shaped sword shadow that Lin Xian used. It was definitely a terrifying treasure. Some sage kings were also interested in the azure dragon horn. This was because this thing could command a group of dragons. Soaring Sage King wanted it very much. There were also sage kings who wanted Lin Xian's 9-yang divine body. It could be said that Lin Xian's body was full of treasures. If they could obtain it, they might be able to break through again. These sage kings did not speak, but they secretly gathered their energy and used powerful methods to transmit messages. Soon, Soaring Sage King's face was covered in cold sweat. Silver Corpse Sage King's face was also pale. After all, this was an inheritance that had been passed down for countless years. Outsiders would not be able to interfere with it. It was already so strenuous for them to transmit a message. However, with so many Sage Kings secretly acting, they really succeeded. They managed to transmit a message. Soon, the experts who were still fighting received the message and their eyes lit up. They turned around and rushed into the distance. Lin Wudi must die. They must obtain the thing on Lin Wudi. Everyone's eyes turned red, especially those late-stage sage venerables. They directly tore the void apart. Where are you going? Ling Hu Chueshue roared and rushed over with his men. These people were very fast. Soon, they arrived at the mountain range from before. When they saw that the entire world had been split apart, they were all stunned. What kind of battle had happened before? Look, it's Huang Shisan. Some sage venerables almost fainted when they saw the scene in front of them. The people of the great desolate mansion knelt on the ground. This is impossible. Was Huang Shisan killed? Chapter 4261. The scene that unfolded before their eyes had truly shocked these people. Soon, they discovered that there was another person besides Huang Shisan who was killed. Another person was also lying in the ruins. It was Lin Wudi. Countless people exclaimed. Could it be that Lin Wudi killed Huang Shisan? The surrounding people went crazy. Some of the experts from the holy cities had cold expressions. They had already heard about this from the holy kings. Their goal was to capture Lin Xian. So, when they saw this scene, they did not say anything and directly attacked. A huge palm covered the sky and the earth. It was like an ancient demonic mountain pressing down on Lin Xian. The powerful force caused the entire world to tremble. This was a late-stage holy venerate from the Yellow Spring Hall. When he attacked, it was shocking. The surrounding people felt their blood boil. Fu Hongye roared, "How dare you!" Ling Hu Chueshua even brandished his sword and blocked the Yellow Spring hand. The surrounding holy cities all attacked. For a moment, Lin Xian was in extreme danger. "Big brother Xian, leave quickly," Murong Qingqing exclaimed. At the same time, she ordered the late-stage holy venerate from the Kunlun Pavilion to attack. However, Lin Xian could not escape at all. Not good. Yurua's eyes were black and white. She looked forward and frowned. He has almost no energy left in his body. Quickly take him away. Lu Yuan also moved. The others also wanted to save Lin Xian. However, the experts from the other holy cities sneered. They would not allow these people to attack. For a moment, the world was completely sealed. You want to save him? In your next life, today will be the day of his death. Cold sneers could be heard one after another. These late-stage holy venerates held their swords and walked forward. It's over. The people watching the battle outside shook their heads and sighed. This time, Lin Xian would definitely die. When Lin Xian saw the scene, his face turned pale. He swallowed a medicinal pill and recovered some energy. However, this bit of energy was not enough for him to escape. Moreover, he did not plan to escape. Didn't these people want to kill him? Fine, he would accompany them to the end. Lin Xian stretched out his hand and formed a seal with great difficulty before his voice sounded. "Everyone, please enter the dream." At this critical moment, he activated the illusion leaf. Rays of brilliant light burst out from the leaves and encapsulated the heavens and earth. In the next moment, everyone felt as if the world was turning upside down. When they came back to their senses, they realized that their surroundings had already changed. What's going on? What happened? A few people cried out in alarm, not understanding at all. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. He was no longer weak here. Instead, he stood in the void. "Welcome to my world, where I am the master. What makes you think you can dominate us? You don't even have the slightest bit of strength left. How are you going to dominate?" An early-stage holy venerate demonic beast from the 10,000 Fiends city laughed coldly. This holy venerate demonic beast attacked mercilessly, throwing a punch that immediately shattered space. It looked like he wanted to knock Lin Xian away. However, Lin Xian moved his finger, and a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky, shattering that holy venerate demonic beast. A bloody mist spread out, startling everyone. What's going on? Did he recover his strength? Damn it! How can this be? Those early-stage holy venerates all retreated, on high alert. After all, when Lin Xian was at his peak, killing early-stage holy venerates was no different from chopping vegetables. There was no need to be afraid. He could not do anything here. However, the late-stage holy venerates smiled coldly. So what if the other party recovered his strength? One of the old men threw a saber strike. A terrifying saber light swept out in all directions. The surrounding people were knocked back. However, Lin Xian's figure instantly vanished. He appeared in another place. "It is useless. You cannot injure me at all. I am the master here. What's going on?" That old man's expression sank. Soon, someone exclaimed, "Damn it. This is not the real world. This is the spiritual world. We fell for an illusion. Damn it. Undo the seal." Someone formed hand seals, wanting to escape from the illusion. However, he found that it was impossible. The people watching the battle outside were stunned as well. They discovered that the holy city's experts all stood there, not moving. It was like they had turned into statues. Damn it. What's going on? Some of the holy city's elders roared, "Quickly attack." However, some of the holy kings frowned. Could it be that they fell for an illusion? That can't be. Lin Wudi is already so injured. How can he still execute such a strong illusion? Damn it. Did he use a holy king weapon? An extremely cold light burst out of the divine flying king's eyes. To be able to instantly control so many late-stage holy venerates, this was definitely the strength of a holy king. However, some people frowned as well. That should not be the case. If the divine flying king used such strength, he would immediately be suppressed. He might even be sent out and disqualified. However, that was not the case now. For a moment, these holy kings did not understand. The dream leaf was indeed given to Lin Xian by a holy king. However, this thing relied on Lin Xian's soul as its foundation. Hence, the judgment of strength was based on Lin Xian's soul. Lin Xian was a ruler, not a holy king. Hence, this space would not treat the dream leaf as a holy king's power. Lin Xian took a deep breath and a smile appeared on his face. He said, "Senior brother, quickly attack. I can't hold on for long." Indeed, although the dream leaf was miraculous, it could not control so many experts for a long time. Furthermore, there were several late-stage holy venerates. Lin Xian felt that the dream leaf could imprison these people for 5 seconds. Ling Hu Chueshue and the others took deep breaths. Among them, the eyes of the experts from the Kunlun realm, the Blue Sea Pavilion, and the Joyous Union Palace all lit up. This was an opportunity for them. As for the experts from the Yellow Spring Hall, they roared, "Quickly break out of the encirclement. Don't let them surround you." Since the other party laid an illusion here, they had to break it. Instantly, all sorts of auras erupted. These people's souls spread out in all directions. As for Lin Xian, he snorted coldly. Imprison everything. He was the ruler of the entire dream realm. Hence, he gave the order to imprison the surroundings. The people from the holy cities could not move. Not good. Ling Hu Chueshue and the others roared, "Quickly attack." They erupted with their strongest strength and attacked frantically. Pooh! A sword light flashed, and the Yellow Spring Hall's late-stage holy venerate got chopped in half. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they all went crazy. Is heaven really that horrifying? They struggled even more intensely, and the surrounding space shook quickly. Clearly, they could not hold on any longer. Lin Xian's expression turned cold. They only had 5 seconds. Even Xiao Chen was not confident of how far he could go. 5 seconds was very short. However, to these experts, it was enough. Boom! The 10,000 Fiend City's late-stage holy venerate got torn apart. The Kunlun Mountain suppressed the great desolate mansion's late-stage holy venerate. The Thunder God's late-stage holy venerate got drowned by the Blue Sea's water. As for the early-stage holy venerates and middle-stage holy venerates, they suffered even more disastrous losses. The Thunder God's late-stage holy venerate exploded. 5 seconds passed quickly. During this time, all the holy venerates were severely injured. After 5 seconds, the surviving late-stage holy venerates roared wildly. Crack! The entire dream realm shattered like a mirror. In the next moment, the holy venerates could move again. They returned to the real world. Their thoughts were not revenge, but escape. Earlier, they had truly been severely injured. 10-odd late-stage holy venerates had been killed, their souls forever destroyed. Their bodies fell into the rubble. Half of the holy venerates had died. The surviving holy venerates were also severely injured. Their souls merged with their bodies, causing them to vomit blood. Chapter 4262. These people were running away crazily. Ling Hu Chueshue and the others were chasing after them. Those who were watching the battle did not know what was going on. When they saw this scene, they were all dumbfounded. What was going on? Only a few seconds had passed? The experts on their side had been severely injured and had even fled. What exactly had happened? Damn it! Seeing their side crumbling again, the Saint King Elders' faces turned ugly. Their hearts were bleeding. They had even discovered that there were really late-stage Saint Venerables who had fallen. Moreover, there was more than one. There were more than a dozen of them. The remaining people were dying even more. Not good. If this continues, there will be more deaths. Many elders gritted their teeth and said, the Saint Kings knew this too. Especially the Silver Corpse Saint King, his face was pale. He found out that the Acheron Palace had lost 4 late-stage Saint Venerables. Damn it! They stood up, and their auras surged in all directions. The peerless Saint King sneered. You can't hold it in anymore? I've said it before. Don't jump to conclusions too early. The three dragons also smiled. It seemed that following the Azure Dragon Horn was the right choice. This time, if they could really defeat those saint cities, they would gain a lot of benefits. We can't let this continue. I suspect that the brat used some extreme methods. The soaring sky Saint King stood up and said coldly. The desolate skies Saint King nodded. That's right. The scene just now was too strange. He clearly didn't have any strength, but he could cause such an outcome. I'm very suspicious. Lei Shunqing, 10,000 Swords Pavilion, and Purple Sun Palace's Saint Venerables also stood up. They said that they couldn't let this continue. They had to stop or change the rules. Stop? Why didn't you think of stopping when you were attacking us? The peerless Saint King snorted. Indeed, when the 6 great sage cities attacked them, no one stood up and said such a thing. Now that the situation had changed, these people couldn't take it anymore. What a joke. The peerless Saint King also snorted. You want to stop? Do you think this is a game? Obviously, both sides had different opinions and started to quarrel. Some of the Saint Kings even emitted terrifying auras. The whole world started to collapse. The surrounding people's scalps went numb, and the extraterrestrials also gasped. Would this cause a Saint King level battle? Demon City, don't go overboard. The experts of the 3 dragon clans stood up. The people of the Blue Sea Pavilion also frowned. Some people were still unable to cover the sky with a single hand. The people of Kunlun also snorted coldly. You want to fight? We will accompany you to the end. Stop arguing. At this moment, a cold and gloomy voice sounded, shaking the surroundings. Everyone turned around and saw that the one who spoke was the Silver Corpse Saint King. Flying Sky Saint King said, "Whatever you say is useless. Yellow Spring Hall is the host this time. Brother Silver Corpse, what do you think?" Yes, they had to stop or change the rules. The Silver Corpse Saint King's face was gloomy. He said, "What happened before is too strange. I also feel that it is very unfair if this continues. Thus, I decided to use my only chance to change the rules of the second stage." The Flying Divine King and the others revealed ferocious looks when they heard this. Peerless Saint King and his allies, who were smiling, furrowed their brows. However, they didn't say anything. After all, as the host, Akron Hall did have a chance to change the rules. Of course, this rule had to be approved by the majority of the people. Otherwise, if they changed the rules to only benefit Akron Hall, the other saint cities wouldn't agree. How do you want to change it? The Azure Dragon's king asked coldly. It was very simple. Pick your opponent. Each faction would take turns as the host and pick their opponent. Those who were picked could reject it. However, that was equivalent to failing twice. Those who rejected 3 times would be disqualified. They couldn't participate in the next stage. Those who were killed or kicked out of the stage would be disqualified. Of course, late-stage Saint Venerables couldn't take the initiative to pick opponents who were 2 levels lower than them unless they sealed their own cultivation. What do you think? The moment he said this, the surrounding people started discussing. The Flying Sky Saint King and the others were naturally willing. As long as they could stop the battles, they would raise both hands in agreement. However, Peerless City's side was silent. To be honest, this rule sounded fine, but it was very dangerous when it was actually implemented. After all, it was very easy for the strong to fight against the weak. Needless to say, Yellow Spring Hall would still target them. However, if they used it well, they could continue to hunt down those people. Therefore, the Peerless King nodded and said, "I have no objections. However, I have to remind you that you only have one chance to change the rules. After this, you won't have another chance. I'd like to see if you can still smile after changing the rules. You don't have to worry about that." The Silver Corpse Saint King snorted coldly when he heard that. Since even the Peerless Saint King agreed, the other Saint Kings also nodded. After all, if they didn't agree, the Silver Corpse Saint King would probably propose an even more disadvantageous rule. In that case, let's begin. After saying that, the Saint Kings formed hand seals and flew into the distance. Of course, it wasn't their real bodies. They all sent out a clone and merged into the space. In the next moment, the space broke open and countless terrifying figures appeared. As a result, The people who were still fighting in the space were all stunned. So, the silver corpse Saint King roared, and the sky shook. Everyone stopped, and some of them narrowed their eyes. What's going on? Why are the Saint Kings here? Are they going to make a move too? From now on, stop fighting. There's a change in the rules. Everyone was shocked when they heard that voice. Changing the rules? Lin Xian, Ling Hu Shue, and the others frowned. Damn it, these guys wanted to change the rules when they saw that they were at a disadvantage. How despicable. Moreover, what shocked them was that they actually succeeded. They didn't say anything and quickly retreated. The Saint Kings of the sacred city in the sky also stood on one side. Then they called everyone back. Master, what's going on? Ling Hu Shue and the others asked when they returned. The peerless Saint King sneered. Of course, they wanted to change the situation because they had one chance. However, they wouldn't let them turn the tables. The rules were quickly announced, and the others' eyes lit up. The silver corpse Saint King said, "All right, let's begin." After saying that, the people from the Acheron Hall sneered. As the host, they were the first to be the ringleaders. This time, a middle-stage Saint Venerate walked out. His face was extremely cold. In an instant, he looked at Lin Xian and said coldly, "Get out here." As expected, they were targeting Lin Xian. The people from the peerless city also darkened. Lin Xian had not recovered his strength and was still very weak. Now that he was targeted by a middle-stage Saint Venerate, it would be very dangerous. If they refused, it would be equivalent to failing twice. Moreover, the people from the Acheron Hall would definitely not do it themselves. Next, the Great Desolate Mansion, the Myriad Sword Pavilion, and the Demon City would definitely call for Lin Xian. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.